as we call it, for too long in Ireland, even the smallest criminal conviction has in effect been a life sentence. A person may not be condemned to spend the rest of their life behind prison walls, but they are condemned to a lifetime of stigma, of lost career opportunities, and of serious difficulties in rebuilding a normal life. The bill before the House today is a most welcome step in the slow process of reorientating our criminal justice system away from a system which merely serves to penalise wrongdoers towards one which allows them to be rehabilitated in the interest of the entire society. Much of what is considered, normal in Irish prisons should not happen in any civilised country. The job of reforming our prison system is a massive one. This government is committed to closing St Patrick's Institution for young offenders, which has been condemned for many, many years by expert groups as completely unfit for purpose. More than that, this government has done in a time of austerity what Fianna Fáil failed to do when they were throwing money around. That is, to make the necessary funding available to make the closing of St Patrick's a reality. There is much more to be done. Our prisons are overcrowded. Practices such as slopping out are not acceptable. A broader reform of our prison system is necessary. And it is in this context that I welcome this bill. By international standards, Ireland is years behind other countries. The UK first introduced spent conviction legislation in 1974, nearly 40 years ago. Last year, Liam Herrick of the Irish Penal Reform Trust was able to write that, and I quote, "The fact that Ireland remains the only EU state without any system of spent convictions is only one example of how we condemn even minor offenders to lifetime barriers to employment." End of quote. I welcome the comments of Minister Creighton in opening this debate on behalf of Minister Shadow, where she said that this spent conviction legislation is only one strand of a suite of policies to avoid the creation of a gap between offenders and normal society. Other aspects of this include a focus on youth diversion, the use of non-custodial alternatives such as probation, community service and restorative justice. These are very fine policy priorities, and I look forward to having the opportunity to discuss them in this House at a later stage. We must ask ourselves, what is the purpose of our criminal justice system? Is it just to punish? Certainly this is one element, but so too is rehabilitation. Unfortunately, this is not a strong enough current of thought. One shining light in this area is the prison education system. Curriculums devised by the City of Dublin BEC play a valuable role in allowing people leave the prison system with much better literacy and numeracy and other greater skills, with greater skills than the day they entered prison. And many prisoners really do engage with the education service. They really do want to better themselves, to prepare themselves for the world outside. And I'd like today to pay tribute to the teachers of the City of Dublin BEC for this remarkable aspect of their education service. Serving a custodial sentence is, in reality, only one part of a sentence. Recreating a normal life outside of prison can create further serious difficulties. The obligations to inform an employer, for example, of a conviction sets off an alarm bell that is impossible to quieten. It is an employer's market. In a choice between two candidates of equal merit, one with a conviction and one without, there will only be one winner. And it would be hard to blame the employer. According to the Law Reform Commission, only 52% of employers would employ an ex-offender.
1 minute.
In similar research, small firms say this figure rises to 76 and 87%. But people must have the opportunity to fully reintegrate into society. And getting a job is an essential part of this, of getting back to normal life. When someone is determined not to offend, again, not to reoffend, it is only right that after a certain period, they be allowed to leave their past behind. Where someone cannot find work, it is possible that old habits might re-emerge. Without hope, the likelihood of a return to criminal activity increases. There might be an economic incentive to return to crime. If we are serious about reducing recidivism, then we must be serious about rehabilitating prisoners and ensuring that they have hope on their release. This bill does not put in place a mechanism for any conviction, just any conviction to be expunged. It does not wipe clear a person's criminal record. Rather, it puts in place a system where certain convictions at the less serious end of the criminal spectrum do not have to be disclosed in certain circumstances, where a person does not reoffend for a period of time. The time period after which a conviction must not be disclosed varies. depending on the severity of the crime, the length of the sentence, etc. A sliding scale will be put in place from a maximum of 5-year rehabilitation period for a 12-month custodial sentence down to a 2-year period for less serious offences. The measures contained in the bill do not apply to every criminal conviction. There are necessary safeguards. Serious offences, murder, manslaughter, sexual offences and others are of course excluded from the remit of this bill. A conviction for a period of any more than 12 months cannot be considered spent under this Act. Neither will repeat offenders be able to have their convictions spent. No individual can have more than 2 spent convictions, even if they meet all the other criteria. Similarly, there are safeguards in place regarding the types of employment where the measures outlined in this bill do not come into effect. For example, where a person seeks employment working with children, vulnerable people, or certain state and government departments, any and all convictions must still be disclosed. In 2011, there were 11,000 prison committals for sentences of up to 12 months, which would fall within the remit of the spent convictions bill. This bill will give those convicted hope that once they make a commitment not to reoffend, they will be able to leave their past behind and rebuild their lives. And this bill achieves a balance between giving hope to those who seek rehabilitation and maintaining a need for disclosures in the public interest. And I welcome this bill as a positive step towards a criminal justice system that puts rehabilitation and reintegration with society as its core objective. Thank you.